Hello, Cosmic Witches, and welcome back to another episode inside of our chakra series. We have now entered the solar plexus, and of course, Sophie, myself, is taking the reins, taking the lead on this podcast episode today. Every time we do something to do with chakra, it's always me that gets lads with the solar because I'm all about the confidence, the power, the worthiness, and that's been a big pillar and part of my personal journey as well. And so, yeah, I'm excited to dive into the solar plexus today. We're going to be talking a lot about giving your power away and people pleasing, because this is definitely something that I have moved through and worked through, and I know a lot of you guys listening will probably be the exact same. But before we dive into the episode, I want you to remind you that the waitlist for Aura Elevation Round 5 is still open. If you've not secured your space inside of the waitlist, this is your sign. Pause the podcast episode right now, go into the show notes and just put your name, your email, and you'll be added to the list and you will get first access to Aura Elevation Round 5 because there is going to be a limited amount of spaces left. But if you have never heard of Aura Elevation before and you're like, what? What's this? It is our signature 3-week mini ritual challenge where we move through the entire chakra system. So we start at the root and we work all the way up into the crown for 3 days. We give 2 days to dive into the chakras and a day of integration and rest and catch up. And yeah, it's just our most loved, favored program that we hold together, and we're now on round 5, which is just so crazy and so special, and the evolution of it is just incredible. The women, the people that join, it's just honestly, it just makes it. The co-creation of the space, not only do we co-facilitate it, but the community aspect of it is incredible, and the community really create the space as well. So we're going to dive into this podcast episode today and explore the solar plexus with you and giving your power away and people pleasing. And I will also be facilitating a practice to kind of prepare you for oral elevation as well, and to give you a little taster of the types of practices that we take you through inside of oral elevation. It's literally only at $49. You get 3 weeks of mentorship and support and community and practices that literally could shift so much for you and really transform the reality that you live, the person that you are and who you want to really step into. So without further ado, if you want to join the waitlist, click the link below. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us. We're here to answer any questions, and we will see you inside Aura Elevation at the very beginning of March.
Hey Cosmic Witches! Divine Gossip Girls here, your one and only source into the spiritual happenings of the cosmos.
Ever wonder what this month's energy will have in store for you? What the planets and stars are even up to? Or if the universe can just help you catch a break already?
Well, lucky you, because we have all the spiritual secrets to tell. Get ready to sip on your weekly dose of divine tea.
Okay, let's dive into this episode. I feel like I'm always, like I said, I'm always the one that explores the solar plexus and Aura Elevation. It's like, okay, Sophie, you're doing the solar. I'm like, yep, okay.
It's always that. It's like, Harley is the root, you're solar, I'm the third eye, and then we jump between the other ones.
I feel like also because in my like not even just my brand, but just like who I am as a person, like I feel like I do symbolize light as well, and like a lot of what I've worked through is like a lot to do with the solar. So I am the I guess the embodiment of it and like the working embodiment of it as well. So what I would like to dive into is like giving your power away and people pleasing, something that I am constantly working on and moving through and as I continue my journey as well. And actually, the day as we record this, I was inside of a workshop just before we came on this session to record, and I'm actually co-facilitating a 3-day event with other women that I work with, other women that I've met along my mentoring and my coaching journey. And the workshop was all about kind of connecting with your feminine expression. And what came through me was this need of approval, this need of acceptance from others outside of me, and really giving my power away to people outside of me, and really starting to continue to shift that. Because I know for me, at the very beginning of my journey, when I started to really dive into like healing and growing myself and personal development and all of the work that we do in this space and in our own individual spaces and inside of Aura Elevation, I was someone who always looked outside of herself. I was always someone that thought other people knew what was best for me and other people knew me better than I knew myself. And it's something I still continue to heal as well. And it's something I'm still working through. But I've been on this journey of like taking my power back, and instead of feeling the need to have that acceptance and that approval outside of me, actually like, can I start giving that to myself? Can I start giving that approval to myself? Can I start giving my that acceptance to myself? And that allows you to take your power back. And I feel like we have been kind of conditioned and brought up in a society where we look outside of ourselves and we give our power to other people. And I think we're entering this new age of like, okay, like actually I have the power. Like I have the power to give to myself. I don't have to look outside of myself. I don't have to seek validation in others. So I would love for you guys to maybe even share a lot about your experience with looking outside of yourself and people pleasing and giving your power away, or what even came up for you when I was like beginning to like tap into that topic.
I was thinking, Sophie, maybe that's why the universe is like, you need to be friends with Maggie and Carly because they suck at texting back sometimes. So maybe when you're like, hey, I'm having this issue, and then by the time we text back, you're like, yeah, I found the solution within myself.
It's so many times
like,
I'm
so
kind of
proud of
like
you.
at
You're
a
so
point where I'm
good.
like, you know what? I might not actually just text you, so I might go
No.
somewhere else.
It is an
You're
issue.
like,
It is an
does this
issue.
look good? You're like, I decided it was good. I'm like, good for you. It is good.
Yeah, I'll just like decide with myself. But I mean, it is like a journey because I'm like, I also am someone who I think the difference between here, like back then and now, is like, okay, like even though sometimes I can still give my power away, like I know I'm more aware of it, and
And you're aware
I'm
of who you're
quicker.
asking,
Yeah,
right? Like you're asking us for help because you're like, I trust you with
yeah,
my
that
energies.
exactly. Like it's a
Yeah.
healthier form of support from other people instead of like, because I remember like I literally would genuinely not trust myself, and I would genuinely feel like other people knew what was best for in the decisions I made. And I remember the shift of like, this is exhausting. Like, I've had enough. Like, I want to take my power back. I want to start to learn to actually trust in myself and choose myself. And it's been that kind of domino effect. And I wouldn't be sat on this podcast. I wouldn't be doing the work that I do now. I wouldn't have the opportunities that I have now if I didn't start like trusting in myself and giving that approval to myself. And I'm kind of feeling like I'm going through this next initiation of healing this pattern and this belief
Yeah.
because of the kind of next chapter I want to step into. I've just left my flat, my 4.5 year flat, and I'm currently living in my grandma's on a temporary basis. And I feel like that's really initiating me to really like strengthen that trust and like, okay, I'm not going to ask other people what they think I should do or where they think I should go, or I'm not going to stay somewhere to please someone. But it can be really hard, and I feel like you go through these initiations of the beliefs that you may have had or the patterns or that you may have had to really continue to shift that. And I feel like that's what's happening for me is like, okay, like we know that you trust yourself more than you ever have before, but it's time to like deepen that. It's time to continue to deepen your power, continue to live for yourself. But it is hard,
It's
especially
hard. And I feel like the one that really came up for me with people pleasing was when I really was like starting my business.
Mhm.
And it was just sort of like a side hustle at the time. But even I'd say like the first year of having business, I would really be like creating, or I would do things and I would want to like please everybody, like make content that pleased everybody or like do something that would please everybody. So
Yeah.
I remember like the first time I did card pulls, I literally did them for like everybody who like I did them one time and I got like 50, which now I get more than 50, way more than 50 every single time. But like the first time, I think one of the first times I got 50. And I remember feeling like, oh my God, I need to do a free card pull for every single person because like they're going to expect that and they'll be upset that they didn't get picked. Or, you know, if someone needed to reschedule, I would just be like, oh yeah, let me like rearrange my whole day around this. Or I used to do 30-minute tarot readings as well as hour ones. And then I would find like I would get one booking and I would have to rearrange my entire day around this like 30-minute session that was like $50. And so I would struggle because I thought I was doing something that I really wanted, which was to grow my community and make them all really happy and like, and not that I don't want to make people happy, but you know, sort of give so much of my time and energy and power away because other people had this certain expectation or even just like this certain um feeling like they were owed something by me,
Yeah.
even if it was free.
You,
And sorry.
you know what I also want you guys to like a question I want you to answer, and both of you is you can finish what you're saying, but I feel like this could be really good for you to like expand on as well as what does it mean for you to give your power away? Because I feel like we say that and sometimes people are like, what do you mean by that? So like for you, when you say like giving my power away, when like
I think it's like
reschedule
my
your day.
time and energy, right?
Mhm.
Like, for example, instead of being like, I only have the energetic capacity, I only have the mental capacity, like, I'm to do 20 card pulls because afterwards I'm so tired. Instead, I was like, well, even if I'm tired, I'm just going to push through and I'm going to do 30 more, like over double what my body and spirit are like, you can only do this much. And then it's going to take away from my life because later that day or the next day, I can't live my day normally because I'm so exhausted, right? I've like made myself sick or I've like canceled on something I needed to do because I'm giving my power away and like people pleasing for somebody else, right? And I feel like I did this a lot. I was like, okay, I need to make everybody happy. And then I got to a point where I was like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And I would get like 50, but now I get like 200 people wanting free card pulls. And I'm like, I will do 10. I'm sorry that that's not even close to the amount that put this in, but these are free and I don't need to do them. And like, you can't, I think it was like, you can't expect anything of anyone. Really, like you can't expect someone's time or gifts or talents or help even for free. Like, even if I say to my friend, hey, can you help me move? And they say, no, sorry, I'm just not, I don't have the bandwidth for that. I can't be like, "Meh, meh, 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 meh," because guess what? You don't like owe me anything. You owe me like your love and your friendship because I gave that to you, but you don't even owe me that. Like, you give that to me because you do love me. Do you know what I mean? Like, everything isn't fully like transactional and like you have to be okay with that. Like, sometimes people are going through a hard time. Sometimes people only have so much energy and you have to be like, they're doing the best they can. Or if they're not, you have to be like, okay, I need to back off my energy. But it's sort of like you can't expect like a professional. You can't expect someone to help you do this big favor for you. As soon as you have these expectations for things that can't be expectations, that's when like you're demanding too much of someone. And when you feel like those expectations are being put on you and you have to say yes or else you'll disappoint someone, that's when you start giving your power away. If you can help someone move, or if I could do 100 readings, I would, but sometimes you can't and you have to be like, no, because it's not healthy for me and my energy. And I found that when I did that, when I was like, no, sorry, I only have this much, or I set this boundary quite like a little while ago, but I would say like, you know, maybe 6 months after I started doing the free readings, sometimes I would get like nasty messages from people who didn't get a reading and they'd be upset. And at first I'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then it just ended up being like block, block, block. And I literally would post something being like, if you're mean to me, you're getting blocked because I don't owe you anything. Like, I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart. I'm sorry if you don't get picked, but I'm doing as much as I can. And I found that me taking that stance and being like, I am valuable. My time and energy is valuable. I will give as much as I can, but I will not overgive. Also, set a certain level of authority where people suddenly were like so much more respectful as well.
Well, I think that's like a really big thing too. Like you have to have a level of respect for yourself. And I think me kind of like the people pleasing tendencies that I had started to wash away the more that I engaged in self-love and made that my priority. Because the level, like once I increased self-love for myself and a recognition that I am worthy and I am deserving, I started to realize that like my needs and my like energy is just as valuable as anyone else's. And so I shouldn't put like, of course it's different. Like when you're a mom, you can't always be like, oh, sorry, I don't have the capacity to do that. I can't take care of you. Like, but for a lot of situations in our lives, we need to check in with ourselves before we just go forward and, do something that's actually not in alignment with our highest good. And I definitely believe that like people pleasing and giving our power away is a very conditioned response, especially being like socialized as women. We believe that people's needs always should come before ourselves and we need to be really selfless and always of service. But I think it's a recognition that being of service is truly being of service only when you have a capacity to give. Otherwise, you are giving from an empty cup. And that level of giving is coming from a belief that the only way that we can get is through giving. And that is not true. We are
And you'll
deserving
start,
and worthy.
yeah, and you'll start resenting the giving. You'll be like, I don't want to give anymore.
That's exactly what I
Yeah,
was going
like
to
I
say as
used to
well.
give, give, give. Yeah,
Yeah.
like so
Yeah.
much. Like my friends and stuff, I remember like getting them gifts, but not from the kindness of my heart, but because I desired something in return, which I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like that
Yeah.
loses the whole point, right?
But
Of
what
like
I've also
of giving.
experienced, like firsthand, like with family, and like what you said, it's like this giving our power away is it is conditioned, and I've seen it like firsthand, like with my mum. My mum is such a selfless human. She's so kind, she's so caring. All she wants to do is give and help others and make sure other people are okay and make sure other people are like are okay, like everyone in my family, her friends, and like she gives so much energy to other people, but none to herself, so that when she is giving to others, it is from such an exhausted, depleted, hopeless kind of place. And when you're able to actually like, okay, like what if I were to like give to myself? And sometimes that can be really scary if it's so unfamiliar. Like we're not conditioned to give to ourselves. We're not conditioned to practice self-love. And when you practice self-love, that means you're selfish, or that means that it means blank, right? But we're entering this new, I guess, this new age of like actually, and we're learning that there's this way of like, okay, when I can actually pour into myself and pour into my own energy, pour into my own body, pour into my own heart, give to myself, I'm actually able to give to others in such a more overflowing, giving, loving state,
Yes, yes.
rather from a state of like hopelessness and depletion and exhaustion and
Yeah.
resentment, you know?
It's like, and like a big thing that I think can maybe help you guys if you're visual people to kind of understand this is when I do Reiki on myself and other clients as well, like it's everyone has some level of giving our power away, right, to some sort of source, whether that be like inner thoughts of just reminiscing of, oh, I should have said something different to this person. Oh, I should have done that. That all in a sense is giving our power away to certain situations, and they can be on like bigger levels too, right? Like something that we reminisce about over and over and over again. Like saying, oh, I should have done that. But when I'm doing Reiki on clients, a huge visualization that comes to me whenever there's a leak of energy, especially around the solar plexus, is I see the solar plexus as a sun, and there can be like a really big ray that's just like huge and it's going towards something. And so a lot of times we have to do like cord cuttings and Reiki sessions where I work with their highest selves and say, is it in alignment to let this go and to feed this energy back into this person's being, right? Because a lot of times I have clients that come to me that are like, oh, I'm super low energy. And when we work with the solar plexus, we begin to see, holy shit, you're giving so much of your energy away to others. And also another big thing that happens with people pleasing and giving our power away is oftentimes our heart chakra is also closed off. So we have this belief that we can only give, but we do not deserve to receive. And that is such a backwards way of thinking, because giving and receiving are part of the same loop.
That's
You
exactly
cannot.
what I feel. That's exactly it. Because I feel like for so many people, like for my mom, it's like she doesn't feel like she doesn't feel safe, or there's just such a block of being able to receive from others. But like she all she wants to do is give, but like she's not allowed to receive, you know?
And with your solar plexus holds your confidence, right? And when you're giving and giving and giving, it's because like you're not, confident in yourself. It's like you're giving your energy away to other people. Like all of this that we're talking about is in that solar plexus, but the solar plexus also holds our identity and our sense of self. So when you think about like all that energy that's in the solar plexus and you're just giving it away to other people, or you're just giving, 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 your sense of identity becomes like, I am only me when I'm giving, when I'm giving. And it's also our sense of worthiness. So it's like, not only I am only me when I am giving, but I am only worthy when I am giving. And then therefore I only feel confident in my worthiness and who I am when I'm over giving, when I'm giving, giving, giving,
Or like
rather than
when
turning it back.
I get approval from others, because that's what
Exactly.
I
That's it.
realized when I
Yes.
was so like addicted to people pleasing. It was quite literally because I just wanted praise and approval of others. And
Mhm.
I mean, we talk about this in Aura Elevation. You guys are going to see it in this, like over the 3 weeks too. Every single chakra is connected. So you can't just work with the solar plexus without really like also having benefits in other chakras. But this is really connected to the root, the sacral, and the heart. I feel like the solar plexus, like all of the chakras that surround it, are so connected to the work that we do here.
Yeah.
So, like, it's people pleasing, and coming back to your power is also hugely tied to your sense of safety, which is the root, and the sense of being open and worthy, which is a
Mhm.
lot of the heart as well. So
And
it's
that's
just
why
really
Aura
interesting.
Elevation is just like we're really, really proud of it
Is this
because
shit? It's this
yeah,
shit.
it has such um an opportunity to shift so much, because not only do we just focus on one aspect or one chakra, we go through the full thing, you know? But if this feels complete, I want to take you through a very short tapping practice for taking your power back. So dive into this tapping, preparation for aura elevation. Maybe once you've done the tapping, you're like, okay, I gotta get inside. Make sure you save your waitlist spots. You have first access. You'll receive an email when we open the pre-sale, the early birds, and you'll be able to save your spot before anybody else can. But go into this practice and tap into your power and shift any of the resistance or the fear of standing up for yourself or saying yes to yourself, and come into our elevation where you'll get to explore all these different chakras and explore where you've not been allowing yourself to take your power back, or where you're not been allowing yourself to actually choose yourself. Obviously, these are just stories and examples from our own personal experience, but our elevation gets to be your own personal experience with the community that are there. So we'd love to see you inside. Go ahead and dive into this practice, and we'll see you next week for another episode. Okay, let's dive into this somatic tap-in for shifting out of people pleasing tendencies and taking your power back. It is going to be a little bit different doing a tap in just hearing me, but I will guide you through the points. So if anybody doesn't know what a tap in is, it is an EFT tap in, emotional freedom technique, where I take you through the meridian points of your body and we shift the energy, shift the beliefs that are stored within your body, your nervous system, and your belief system. I also I've created my own unique method with tapping as well, and create more of a somatic, embodied tapping as well, that you'll get a little bit of a taster within this tapping today. But what I want you to do is I want you just to find a safe space. It's only going to be about a 5-minute tapping. It's not going to be long. I want you to find a safe space, put your earphones in if you haven't already got your earphones in, or you don't have to, but you can if you want. And I want you just to give a little shake of your hands, shake of your arms, just taking a deep breath into your solar plexus. I want you just to take a deep breath into the area just above your belly button, the biggest breath you've taken all day, and a big sigh out your mouth, making any noise. What noise wants to move through you from your solar plexus today? What doesn't want to release through the breath? Taking another deep breath into the solar plexus, beginning to notice what's happening there, and a big exhale out. Make any noise that you want. Giving a shake. Maybe you want to stand up doing this practice. Maybe you want to sit down, just doing what feels good to you. And as we begin to tap into the solar plexus, I want you just to begin tapping on to that part of your body. And I want you to notice what's happening. What was happening in your solar plexus and your body as you moved through today's podcast episode? What was coming alive for you? What were you acknowledging that was happening in your body? What were you noticing was coming through where you give your power away, where you personally people please? And I want you just to bring that forward. Bring the sensation of people pleasing, bring in the part of you that is giving your power away, and just notice where are you giving your power away as you begin to tap into your body, into this solar plexus area, waking it up, tapping into it, and just taking this time to start shifting the energy within this part of you, within this area within you. Just bringing forward that sensation. Maybe you want to stop tapping onto the solar plexus now that you've opened it up. And just bring forward that sensation of giving your power away. Maybe you visualize a specific scenario or a specific person or a specific sensation or belief that is stored within there. Just bringing that forward and notice what's happening in the body, what's happening within the solar plexus when you actually face and acknowledge what is going on within that area, within you, within that part of you. And I want you just to take a deep breath back into it. And a big breath out. Making any noise. Letting anything go. And I want you just to come up to the top of the head. We're going to start at the top of the head. And I am going to voice what points I'm at. But you're very welcome to tap at your own pace. If you're familiar with tapping, if you have your own groove with it, you're able to do that if you want. You can change any word in, you can add any word in, and yeah, just let what wants to shift to be shifted through your body today. Taking a deep breath in, a big exhale out, and just repeating out loud after me. I am ready to stop giving my power away. I am ready to stop people pleasing. In between the eyebrows, I am noticing that I am falling into a conditioned pattern of pleasing others, of looking outside of myself, of giving my power and energy away. The side of the eye. But maybe, just maybe, I can shift out of this pattern. And even though I was taught to put others first, and always be of service, and always seek validation, underneath the eye. Maybe, just maybe, this is no longer serving me. Maybe, just maybe, being able to be of service in a loving, healthy way is being of service to myself first. Underneath the nose. And this quote of filling your own cup up first is no longer a quote. It's no longer a fancy thing I see on the internet, but actually a way of being that I embody now. The chin. For so long, I was looking outside of myself, or I was pleasing others because I felt like I had to. I felt that there was no other way. Collarbone. But there is another way. There is another way of giving. And instead of giving my energy away to please others, to live in the expectations and pleasure of others, or in the comfort of others, I choose to stand in my power. I choose to awaken my power today because I have the power to. Underneath the arm. Sometimes you have to say no. I am giving myself permission to say no. The wrists. I'm giving myself permission to say yes to myself. To trust in myself. To connect with myself more and more every day. Back up to the top of the head. The more that I connect to myself, to who I truly am within, without having to give to others or please others, actually coming into myself and the truth of who I am, I can give from a state of overflow. From a state of love, from a state of power. In between the hours, I am shifting how I move through the world. How I move through the world and my power. How I give to myself. And how I am of service in the world. Side of the eye. I love being of service. I am here to serve. But first I have to serve myself. In order to serve in a way that is healthy. That is from my heart. And that is from my truth. Taking a deep breath in. Opening your chest up, opening your solar plexus up, opening your entire body up. And just coming back to that character of power. Of being of service to yourself, of giving to yourself, of standing in this worthiness of saying no and saying yes to yourself and trusting in yourself. And knowing yourself and connecting to yourself, and just embody that character for a moment. Embody that version, that identity of yourself. How does it move? Is there a movement? What's her facial expression? How does she breathe? And I want you just to breathe into that embodiment. Move in a way. Maybe she wants to embody a star. Maybe she wants to move our hips. Like, how does this character that is in her power, that is willing to serve herself first, that's willing to expand our capacity to trust in ourselves and her worthiness, to receive, to love, to be. And just breathe into that character and that embodiment. Notice what's shifted in your solar plexus. Notice what's shifted in your body. And what is one thing, one action step that you can take today or moving forward to really anchor into this shift, into this embodiment, this character, to really expand it into your body? Yes, we can do these practices, but what are we going to do with them? How are you going to embody this character today? I hope you enjoyed this mini somatic tapping practice, and yeah, we will see you next week for another episode. If you haven't already saved your spot for the Aura Elevation waitlist, here is another invitation to do so. And yeah, thank you for joining us on another incredible podcast episode and practice, and let us know how this landed for you, what shifted for you, and we will speak to you next week. Bye.